Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us. My name is Sean Redmiles, and I'm the Executive Director of the Fauquier History Museum at the Old Jail. May is National Historic Preservation Month, and we're celebrating the power of place and those who work to save historic places. Today, I'm approximately 10 miles northeast of Warrenton, off Blantyre Road, standing in front of the Hefflin Store. Built in 1845 for Abraham Stover, this store, built off of locally quarried limestone, is a rare example of an early Fauquier County mercantile which served the surrounding hamlet of Little Georgetown, a community established here in the early 19th century along the banks of Trap Branch.
In 1833, Abraham Stover and his wife Rachel, who were Mennonites, immigrated to Fauquier County with their three sons, Ralph, Charles, and Albert, from Bucks County, Pennsylvania. The following year, Stover purchased the 135-acre Trap Branch mill tract from William Skinker. Abraham then took over the operation of the grist mill, eventually packaging and selling his own brand of flour, A.F. Stover Flour. The ruins of Stover's mill are located about 1/2 mile east of here along Trap Branch. The stone miller's house, which still stands today, sits below the ruins. In 1845, Abraham's son Charles hired a local stonemason named John Fry to build a storehouse in the triangular lot created by the crossroads of the road to Thoroughfare Gap and the road to Warrenton. Abraham's third son Albert ran the store until his untimely death in 1854. Charles took over its operation after his father's death the same year.
During the Civil War, both Federal and Confederate armies marched on the Thoroughfare Gap Road, which is just beyond those trees there on modern-day Route 55. Thoroughfare Gap is another 2 miles in that direction. They would march past this store and mill on Blantyre Road, which is the road that leads to Warrenton.
During the war, both Federal and Confederate armies marched along the Thoroughfare Gap Road past the store and Stover's mill. Oftentimes, United States troops occupied the garret floor of Stover's store to stand watch over the Thoroughfare Gap Road. Proof of this occupation is written on the walls. Sergeant Tom F. Hamilton and Private Warren W. Hull of the 73rd Ohio Infantry penciled their names, regiment, and the date November 13, 1862, on the plastered wall beside the east gable window. The signatures can still be seen today.
Charles Stover lived with his mother Rachel here at the miller's house throughout the war, operating the store and mill and farming the land. Perhaps due to their Mennonite heritage, they never owned slaves and relied heavily on hired labor. Said of Charles Stover, quote, "It was well understood all through the war that he was a Union man. He was left alone during the war, except when the armies of both sides repeatedly encamped on his place at Thoroughfare Gap and left neither fence nor living thing of stock. His losses in property and money caused by the war were about 40,000, end quote. By 1884, Henry Newland Bronner was renting the mercantile. He officially purchased the property in 1895. And in 1886, Bronner became the organizer, director, and secretary of the Warrenton, Plains, and Alexandria Telephone Company, which built and operated the first telephone lines in Fauquier, Prince William, and Fairfax counties all the way to Alexandria. He supplemented his mercantile income by becoming a lineman. Bronner also supervised the construction of telephone lines from Markham to Orland and from Warrenton Springs over the Rappahannock River to Jeffersonton in Culpeper. Henry Bronner was among the founders of the Church of Our Savior and Greenwood Cemetery, established in 1887 on the 3 acres located north and east of the store. Local legend says that the formation of this church was a direct result of a community dispute about the teachings of Reverend Grammer of Grace Church in the Plains. The Reverend's belief that waltzing was an affront to the church was a major factor in the congregation's division. During the late 19th century, Little Georgetown consisted of the general store, the Church of Our Savior and Cemetery, a cooper's shop, a blacksmith wheelwright shop, a creamery, Stover's corn and flour mill, and about 12 principal farms in the surrounding area. The Broad Run train station was located about a mile north. All right, and thanks to a kind family living here right where the mill was located on Trap Mill Branch, we actually have found the original millstone, the last remnants of that mill house. The mill was torn down a little bit ago from the previous owners, but the millstone still stands today as you're driving down the road past this property, past where Trap Branch Mill is. So really cool history to be standing here touching this. Fantastic that we were allowed to come here and take this video. The store property was sold to Edgar Hefflin in 1889, and this is where the Hefflin Store comes in. Hefflin focused on selling general merchandise as shown in a store advertisement from 1901 that read, quote, Edgar Hefflin, dealer in dry goods, groceries, hardware, medicines, hats, caps, boots, and ready-made dye clothing. Country produced, bought, and sold. We want your trade in everything you need. Our prices are the lowest, unquote. Hefflin's business license demonstrated that he was authorized to sell tobacco, which he sold with local favorites like Shenandoah Valley Milk, Crescent Candy, Vanity Fair hats, Procter & Gamble soaps, Coca-Cola, Hamilton Brown shoes, and locally made flour from Stover's Mill. Hefflin continued to run the store until his death in 1945, at which time his wife Lily stepped in and managed its operation for the local farming families. The Stover Bronner Hefflin Store served the Little Georgetown community for more than 100 years, finally closing its door in 1953. In 2004, the historic property was listed in the National Register of Historic Places, as shown on the plaque on the building wall. If you're interested in learning more about the Hefflin Store or other historic properties in Fauquier County, consider becoming a member of the Fauquier Historical Society. For just $30 a year, you can get free access to the museum, benefits in our gift shop, exclusive access to all of our membership resources, including videos just like this, lectures, walking tours, maps, a whole host of things that we often charge for will be free for members if you join. So please consider supporting our museum. All of the money that you give to us goes right to our operating budget and helps us fund all of the educational projects, events, and exhibits that go into our amazing local museum. So support local history and consider becoming a member of the Fauquier Historical Society and the Fauquier History Museum at the Old Jail. Thank you.